Landscaping. I don't see it.
Yeah, did you get a board of directors package like this?
Yeah,
Yeah, you had that thing in it.
nothing to, oh,
All
that's
right, no, it doesn't
April
matter.
and
I'll
May.
just make
Hello,
some.
Nancy. Hello,
Good
Nancy.
job.
Okay, Nancy. Yeah.
Knock it, yeah.
Getting pretty good at that.
Thank you. There you go.
Okay, we're going to start without Barbara Milano. Unfortunately, Terry Marie, I don't want to rush her, and they're having some troubles over there. So we'll let them work it out. And when she can join us, she can join us. I'm calling the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and recognitions. Richard, would you lead us in that, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please remain standing, take a moment of silence for those we've lost, friends and neighbors, those who are ill, our troops and the people of Ukraine. And just a moment for those who lost their lives in Buffalo this past week in a horrible tragedy. Thank you. All right, we have a very, very, very full agenda today. So I'm going to ask us to try and keep it succinct. That includes me. I'm going to ask that those directors reporting out on their various areas, keep it short and sweet. If there's nothing big deal going on except for the regular crazy stuff, let's just say that and move it along. We have a lot of things under old business and some new business as well. So I want to make sure that we can do that. Correct me again if I'm wrong, but this is our last meeting of the spring season of 2022. Hi, Gladys. And then we'll be back into summer sessions with no meetings until October. No, September, October? October. Okay. Doesn't mean we won't call a special meeting if we need it. Now that we have Zoom, we can do that with our people that are, if it works, we can do it with the people that aren't here. Let's start with the roll call, please.
President Tartaglia,
Here.
Vice President Milano, hopefully soon.
Oh, Tim, you're not, you
Get her on
can't hear your
on.
mic.
Is this thing on?
There you go.
Okay.
I could give
Treasurer Menard,
Present.
Secretary Ryan, here. Director Gigliotti, Director. I lost
Kowalski.
my list. Kowalski. And Director Rizzo. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Tim, would you continue with the minutes, please?
I can do that. Board of Directors meeting April 21st, called to order by President Tartaglia at 10:03. Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Gigliotti, followed by a moment of silent reflection in honor of our ill and departed neighbors, armed forces, our first responders serving our country, and the people of Ukraine. Roll called by Secretary Ryan. Quorum was established as all board members were present, with one in attendance remotely. Minutes of the March board meeting were read by Secretary Ryan. Corrections were presented. Motion to accept minutes as corrected made by Director Gigliotti, seconded by Director Rizzo, and passed. Minutes of the reorganizational meeting were read by Secretary Ryan. Corrections were presented. Motion to accept as corrected by Director Kowalski, seconded by Director Gigliotti, and passed. President's report. Please understand that as the board transitions, directors are learning their new jobs as they go. The board is ultimately responsible for everything. Nothing lies fully on the shoulders of any one of us. While one director is the point person for any given area, none of us can operate autonomously. Richard's position as officer at large is fairly new, and the policies and procedures portion is totally new. As many of us may be unsure of what our positions entail from time to time, Richard is the director to guide us over these bumps in the road. Cars were broken into again in section 2. I don't have details as yet and haven't heard that anyone in section 1 was hit. Please make sure your cars are locked and don't leave anything of value inside, especially in sight. A simple charger cord leads the bad guys to believe there's a phone or iPad in there. Don't give them a reason. If you're violated, call the police as soon as you notice. I'm asking you directors for the summer to-do list. Our staff can catch up on things that were not a priority on season during the summer months. I've asked Tim to start some sort of motion change book so that it's easier for us to keep track of those things we change that we don't deal with often enough that we remember if, when, and how we change things. Motion to accept the president's report made by Director Gigliotti, seconded by Director Rizzo, and passed. Treasurer's report. After this month, we should be able to close out the Synovius account, as anything outstanding should either clear or be transferred to Centennial. Everything is on target. P&L is attached. Motion to accept the treasurer's report made by Vice President Milano, seconded by Director Gigliotti, and passed. Vice President's report, nothing to report. Buildings and appurtenances attached. Motion to accept made by Director Gigliotti, seconded by Director Kowalski, and passed. Lawns and gardens. Motion to accept made by Director Gigliotti, second by Treasurer Menard, and passed. Social Committee also attached. Motion to accept by Director Rizzo, seconded by Secretary Ryan, passed. Policies and procedures. We are still in negotiation with Blue Stream. Their new rep will be in soon, hopefully offering new incentives. President Tartaglia asked Rich to begin reviewing the rules we live by to ensure that they are not in need of updating and remain current and legal. Motion to accept made by Director Kowalski, seconded by Director Rizzo, and passed. Pool and clubhouse attached. Motion to accept Larry Corbin's proposal for repairs to the dock made by Secretary Ryan, seconded by Director Gigliotti, and passed. Bill Hooks added that the materials for repairing the lounge chairs are in, and he will keep us informed as to how the repairs are going. Motion to accept made by Director Gigliotti, seconded by Secretary Ryan, and passed. Strategy and planning, nothing to report. The broken pool fence must be added to the planning list. Sales and leases, units for sale 152D with the asking price, 360C with the asking price, under contract 202A, 242B, 282B. Would it be possible to put recent sale prices on 97 so people know what their places are worth? Motion made to accept by Director Kowalski, seconded by Treasurer Menard, and passed. Old business. President Tartaglia reminded us all to seek out board partners for a presentation and approval at next meeting, as it is our last until October. New business. Director Ryan nominated Geraldine Gigliotti as his board partner, seconded by Treasurer Menard, and passed. Director Gigliotti refused himself from the discussion and vote. Motion made to close by Director Kowalski, seconded by Director Gigliotti, passed. Meeting adjourned at 12:30 p.m.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes? as
I'll make a
written?
motion. We accept the
Second.
secretary's minutes.
Who said second? Barbara Kowalski said second. Are there any questions, comments by the board on the minutes? Any corrections? Anything from our residents? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hi, I'm here.
Perfect timing, Barbara. Perfect timing. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Tim. All right, we are now going to move to the reports. I'm first. I want to start by giving a significant shout out to this year's group on the social committee led by Barbara Kowalski and the volunteers who have supported them. It has been, and it was a very eventful, and I don't mean social, year with the off again, on again of the pandemic, and then off again with the Women's Club and Men's Club just coming back from 2 years away from the community by and large. And the social committee really stepped up to the plate in this inaugural year I wanted to note a few people, and whenever you do this, you take the risk of not mentioning all people. I did this at 5:30 this morning, so if I missed anybody, I apologize. But the names that came to mind at that point of people who really helped Barbara make this a very successful year were Nancy Hooks, Donna Reno, Bonnie Ryan, Pat Lynch. She must have put in 30 miles of walk in the neighborhoods with those flyers. And Jack Olenchek. Of course, the Gigliottis are around. There are lots of other people around who jumped in when they saw a need and they filled it. Bill Hooks has remained as a friend of the board as part of the setup and cleanups. Thank you all. It really was an amazing year for the first year of this whole process. It was, and so thank you to all of them, Barbara. Great job. I believe next year the men's and women's club will be back online completely. I know Richard has already given Barbara his thoughts and the men's club's thoughts about the schedule that the men's club would like to provide next year. We'll have all three groups will get together with their lists and we will determine if there's any overlaps or redundancies and parties and fix a schedule sometime this summer so that we can get out to people. And I suspect there will be plenty to do next year. I have been reminded, as always, that I've forgotten someone, and so that always happens. It's probably because he's wearing a hat and traveling incognito, but Tim Finkel really jumped in with planting by the pool and working on the dock and all of those things. He was a great neighbor and resident and volunteer, and we thank you, Tim. Okay. Would like to remind everyone that the start of the formal hurricane season is 2 weeks away. In your directories is a checklist or a list of things to do to prepare for hurricanes. The good thing is we now get much more notice when a hurricane is potentially coming our way. So it's not one of those, oh my goodness, it's coming tomorrow or the day after tomorrow anymore. But it would do all of us good to go out and look at that list and take a walk around our property and think about what needs to be moved, where it's going to go, how you're going to move it if you're not able of carrying a big urn pot or something like that, who's going to help you, and line that up now so that you're not in a panic when, you know, the folks that help people get ready for hurricanes get very busy very quick with folks that need help. So if you're on their list and you have an agreement in advance, you'll feel much better that somebody's going to close your awnings if you can't do it yourself. Somebody's going to move your pots and you know where those things are going to go. I hold on.
Okay.
Did
I'm
someone
gonna
just
write
say
it down. I'm gonna say something, but I'm just gonna write it down. I remember.
The one thing I want to really have people do is please take a walk to the area between your home and the one next to it and identify where the sprinkler heads are. I know many people put their cars between the two buildings when we're expecting a storm. And they do that so that if there are flying objects, hopefully they get protection. Their car is protected from any of those. But you have to understand that there is equipment out there for doing our irrigation. And if you're not sure where they are, running over them can oftentimes do damage. And then, you know, we're spending hundreds of dollars trying to fix those things. And so it's just a matter of going out, looking on the ground, or, you know, ask Tim. Tim can tell you approximately where those are from the buildings, and go out and look where they are so that when you go to pull your car in, if that's what you choose to do, you know where those are and you can avoid them. You know, that also goes for your front yard if you're driving across the front yard to get to the side yard. All right. And you also should be looking to see whether you have plantings around your patios or around your buildings and small trees that are growing up that may interfere with taking your awnings down. So look now. If you have some things that have to be done, we can certainly make a list. If you're not able to do it yourself, certainly can make a list and ask Barbara to give that to the Green Shape guys and tell them to come out. We'll give them building numbers and locations and ask them on their next cutting to come out and take care of those for us. And that's it for me. I would accept a motion to accept my report.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Barbara made it, Janine seconded. Barbara, do you have a question or?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something when having the people check around their patios and stuff was great. But if they could also check when somebody else is in their building that is gone, has already left, make sure that they didn't leave anything out, maybe get in touch with them and find out what's going to go.
Yeah,
because,
that would be great.
you know.
Yeah, good neighbor policy of
Right.
looking and letting people know when things aren't going well. Last year during the close call hurricane that we had great cooperation between residents, owners and neighbors. But we also instituted a process then that I think we probably should dust off and relook at. And that was about charging folks for any homes where we had to go out because the people had neglected to do anything to prepare. You know, if an awning is up on another unit, your building isn't safe. You know, so it's not just with protecting your particular property, but you know, the premise is that the wind takes out somebody's window and it creates almost a vacuum, and the wind comes up through that and then it affects everybody's roof and ceilings. So checking on your neighbors isn't only a nice thing to do, it's a smart economic move if you want to make sure there's, you know, protection from some of the dangers of the cane. All right. Thank you. I have two motions. Is there any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, and we will move on to Richard, Director at Large. Oh, sorry, wait, I do this every time. I don't know what's going on.
Vice
My eyeballs.
President's report.
It's Vice President's report time, so we're going to move on to the Vice President. Barbara Milano, please.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Barbara. That was succinct. I have a motion to accept Barbara's report of nothing.
Make,
Tim Ryan, happily
Make
first,
that-
Barbara Kowalski seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Great job, Barbara. Treasurer's report, Janine.
All right, we recently have received the quarterly update. We've had a review from the accountant's office, and unfortunately, he sent some changes or revisions, some journal entries as of yesterday afternoon. So they're recently made, and I haven't reviewed those changes. So anyway, I spoke with him on the phone, and he indicated that we're on. We look good, but we just needed some changes to allocate where they should be. So I'll review it today. If I have any questions, I'll speak with him again. And as of the quarterly report, he said that we were on good grounds.
So first things first, thank you. I know it's been a really, really rough couple of months with the changing of the banks and now with some real sort of complications in getting the accounting team on board with us and getting the numbers and the entries done the way that we want to see them. So appreciate yours and Terry Marie's hard work in that, and Dwayne's support as well. Do want to ask if I'm used to looking at these things all the time, more so than anybody but you and Terry Marie. And the way that they're set up, if they're going to change the way we report things and the way that we do journal entry, I'd like to have all of the board members who are interested have some kind of a workshop with you or Matt or somebody to tell us how it's done, because it keeps changing and I can't follow, and so now I don't know what the right number is, so I'd appreciate
Okay.
that. Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none. Well, what? Yes, we're in
We
one
still
bank.
have a small account at Synovus, but we waited for some checks to clear, but all of the money will eventually be in Centennial.
Yeah,
Insurance
the
covers
new
everything.
the new process that we're doing of, what do they call
no,
that?
he means the federal insurance, FDIC.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
that's
we're
what I'm
making,
talking about.
we're presently, the bank person is here today to sign some papers, is that they have what they call a sweep account, where even though you're in one bank, what they do overnight is separate that money into various other banks so that it's protected with the 250,000 FDIC. I'm glad I could
Wow,
answer
wasn't
that.
that cool? Okay, let's have a vote if we can, if there are no other questions. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Janine. Okay, now I can move on to buildings, appurtenances, Tim Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Final approval given for patio 147A, 225A windows. 247D windows are done, but the front wall isn't done, and Kathy's not happy about it. She's not here either. But she's waiting on the contractor to come finish that, and that'll be done. Door replacements, I don't know where we're at. I know they got back ordered, and I haven't spoken to him recently, so I don't know what our future holds. But with all the folks gone,
it's the same contractor as Kathy's.
Mhm.
Which is,
well, that's,
Hey, Chris.
yeah, his,
Joe Rhodes.
Joe
yeah,
Rhodes.
Joe Rhodes, but his issue was that the doors weren't available to him.
Right.
You know, they were back ordered, he couldn't get them. I haven't spoken to him recently enough to know if he's got, you know, a window. Hopefully access won't be an issue for the people who are on the list that are no longer here. If their keys are where they belong, everything will be fine. We have a B unit waiting on a back door. Is that going to be the door between the bedroom and the Florida room? Or the door from the Florida room to the patio?
We
Not-
only cover the door from the bedroom to the patio.
Right.
We don't cover
that's-
the outdoor sunroom door to the exterior of the building. Correct?
correct.
That was, yeah, that was the explanation that was given to me.
Mhm.
Doesn't that make the Florida room common element?
No,
It's outside the building.
Well, it's just the windows on that patio also, whether it be front or back, are not the association's responsibility because they were put in by the unit owners. So you have the door, the back door going out to the patio on the 2 one-bedroom units, and you have the windows there, and you have the windows at a 2-bedroom unit at the patios if they're enclosed.
The
That
only,
don't belong to the association.
right. So the sunroom is kind of a split between common element and owners. We revert to what the original structure was that were built with the units, which is, I think it's, you know, the interior wall that it shares with the living room or the bedroom, depending on the size of the unit. And I think there's one cornerstone wall, a cement wall, that holds the structure up. And then the wood or whatever the stanchions are that hold that room into the square or rectangle box. Everything else if you still have an original, some people still do have an original with just the screens in there. That's what is covered by the association. All the windows, if you have a unit with a sunroom that has windows, those windows were put in by the owners sometime in the past 50 or 60 years. And those belong to those, any ceilings added in there, anything that's added in there belongs to them.
some 2 bedrooms have taken out the door between the bedroom and the sunroom.
Right.
And I believe that's not, once they do that, that's not our responsibility anymore.
That's correct.
But the 2 bedrooms have the sunroom on the front, not the back. The 1 bedroom have the
Right.
sunroom on the backs.
Right, but anyone who takes out the door between the primary unit and the
Right.
sunroom, whether that's in the front or the back, now has responsibility for that
Correct.
that door and that opening. And in fact, could have some problems, I would assume, with insurance because the door is one of those protective elements from the outside. So if you've taken that out and put in a pretty, French doors, or you've just opened it up and put in, finished the archway or something like that, as many people have done, and you don't have hurricane windows in that sunroom, you could be opening yourself up for an issue, I would think.
Okay, what a
Okay.
motion to accept this.
Sorry,
You want a motion to accept this report? Did we do that?
don't rush me.
You told me to rush.
All right. Are there any other comments or questions? All
I'll
right.
make a-
we're gonna,
I'll make a
move
motion,
to-
we accept.
I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question.
Can you identify yourself, please?
My name is Tim Finkel. I'm from 242D, as in David.
Mhm.
My question is, we put in all these doors and everything like that seasonally or whatever. Do we get a different quote every year? Is there a price increase? Is there, I was just trying to figure out.
In fact, I think this year we're using a different person than we used last year.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Okay.
And there
whatever.
was an RFP process, Jan.
Yes,
Nice. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, and those quotes and all that are all, open for anybody who wants to look at them to see what the quotes were. I was just telling Tim, I saw something on the news this morning because we were talking about paving on the streets. And there was a woman who owns a company that makes the materials for repaving your streets. And she said they're having a 10% price increase every 45 days. And it
Wow.
is months and months and months of back order for the materials to do any kind of paving because, that it's still, her companies and several companies put the stuff together and make the materials, but they get a lot of their materials from overseas. And of course, they're sitting on containers out in the ocean somewhere. So supply chain strikes again. All right, any other comments, questions? Okay, can I have a call for, do we do a motion on this?
No, I
already?
make a motion that we accept the report.
You did- you did-
Second,
She did. Santina did.
Santina second.
Speak louder.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Tim, you okay with that? Great. All right. Tim, while we're there, do you have anything additional to the treasurer's report besides the minutes? Okay. I was just asking him if he had anything else to go with the treasurer's report besides the minutes. Director at Large Gigliotti, please.
Later on, under old business, I'll be reporting on Blue Stream, so I'll hold off until then.
Okay, great. Can I have a motion to accept Richard's report?
Make that motion.
Second,
Second, Janine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Did you approve or oppose?
no,
Barbara,
I'd it, I'd, A,
she's an approve.
She approved it.
Okay. Barbara,
Aye.
it's my fault.
Aye,
There
aye.
is a delay in the time and I have to remember to give her time to respond. And I'll try harder, Barbara. All right, Barbara Kowalski, Lawns and Gardens.
Landscapings and plantings. We have had problems with having the trimmings of plantings on a regular schedule. We think we've ironed out the problems, but we'll continue to watch the situation. 2, as of the date of this report, which was yesterday, the existing plant beds on the Atlantic Avenue main entrance, both in front of and behind the wall, had their weeds removed and beds cleaned up on yesterday. They will be supplying and they supplied and installed a quality bag mulch. All debris will be removed from the site. In addition, they will be supplying and installing a rich organic. They did. And I thought it looked pretty good. Let's see.
And the
Third,
flowers.
and the flowers were planted.
They were planted.
Yes, flowers are in.
Terrific.
Both the palm and the hardwood trees are scheduled to be trimmed. They are expected to be trimmed. Target on May 31st. The Sylvester palms will be trimmed and shellacked. The diseased trees and stumps that are being dug up will be done at the same time and possibly might be done earlier, but I will find out what, I talked to Rick yesterday.
Okay, so they didn't do the shellacking.
No, because they're going to trim that palm or do whatever when they come. Santina had 7 unit owners who bought trees for their units. Additionally, she received contributions from unit owners to buy 5 additional trees to be placed by the association in common areas. 3 unit owners were turned down because they either had bought one previously or it was not in an area that could be planted. That's it.
Is there documentation on those requests and the what approval or
Yes.
disapproval?
Yes.
Just so that if some,
Yes.
we all come and go, but if somebody else takes over, they can go back and look and see whether that's already been a decided issue.
Right. They're in the
Okay.
same folder as the ones approved.
Okay.
They're actually on the form that everybody has
Yeah.
to fill out to apply for a tree.
Okay. And do you know when approximately that's going to happen?
I'm hoping soon because I just got back last night, but I will be going over to Delray Gardens and finalizing the purchase of the tree.
Okay. Pardon? Put mine closer?
Yeah.
I don't usually need help when it comes to talking. Okay, are there any other comments, questions from the board? Hearing none from the board or the audience, can I ask for a motion to accept Barbara's landscaping report?
I motion to accept.
Santina has made a motion. Do we have a second? Richard, second. We have a question from the audience, Jim Close. Jim? The question was, what is the distance from the perimeter of the building out that you can put
Like-
a plant in?
Well, it depends on if I'm correct on this. Is there a patio there? The patio would go out 10 feet from the back. It's not a patio. It's on like a side of the building or whatever. So, and there's
So
no
front
patio.
and back,
Oh, you can
front
go
and back.
4 feet. 4 feet. Yes,
That's right.
you can go
Now-
out 4 feet.
For the patio, not planting.
4
4 feet.
You're still allowed 4 feet, so it would be a total of 14 feet. Yes. Yes.
No,
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 1 foot,
no,
1
no,
foot after
no,
the
not after the
patio.
patio.
Absolutely not 1 foot.
No, it
1
is,
foot
it's
after the
not.
patio.
It's,
I don't know.
it's not. I believe it's 2 feet. 3 feet?
3 feet, I
All
thought
right.
it was.
I think it's on,
Timmy,
so 3 feet. I think Bill would be
I think it was changed to 4.
no, it's not for Barbara. Not where there's,
Okay.
not when it's on the other side of a patio. No, it's not 4 feet. It's only where there's coming from the building. Yeah, see, so it's not a one answer, Jim. Depends on where you're talking about. And if for instance, in your unit, which has a front and a back only, doesn't have sides, then it depends on whether you're putting in a patio or not. If you have no patio, there's one answer. If you have a patio, it depends on whether you use the whole 10 feet for the patio or whether you use less than that, and whether you're doing it on the sides of the patio or the back. The best thing to do is to have an inspection done. We have a couple of primary reasons for restricting it. Number one is we have irrigation lines out there, and it gets funky because people have changed their own irrigation lines in the past. You know what I mean? So that becomes a problem when there's, if someone has irrigation lines that were moved 10 years ago, they may be closer or further. We try to maintain a 4-foot distance for the sprinkler heads around the perimeter of the building so that the right things get watered and the wrong things don't. But the best thing to do is to have an inspection done, put in a pre-approval and ask for direction. And then between Tim and Patrick and Barbara Kowalski, they'll go out and they'll work with you on that.
Right.
the plants do need to be approved. We look to do that not for beauty, but because there are some plants that are poisonous. There are some plants that have large thorns and bristles that are difficult for our folks to cut around. There are some plants that grow too tall and they interfere with either the awnings or with the roof lines, which is where the rodents and the bugs get in, or they, what was the other thing I was going to say? I forget. There was one other reason why we did plants. Oh, because people put in plants that bush. And they go out way past the 4 feet, and then it's tough to clean. Last one is, we really are concerned about people planting the flowering plants, although we all love them, because we're overrun. We have an epidemic of iguanas, and that's like having, ice cream sundaes at every corner for those things. And so we don't allow fruit, we don't allow vegetables. People come to Florida, they want to plant a little orange tree or a little grapefruit tree or something. I don't blame them. I'd like to too. I wanted to put a basket with those little tomatoes in it. But so the best thing to do is just to have a conversation with Barbara. And then if you need to have someone come out, just look at it, work with you on it. We try to be a little bit flexible, but we don't want to get so it's every man for himself either. Okay.
Jim, there's also a book in the office that you can come here and look at. And it has the woman who wrote the book is from Boca. And it's a pretty nice and complete book of how big something grows, how often it has to be watered, or doesn't need to be watered or whatever. So you're more than welcome to come and look it over.
Thank you. Jerry, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do. Jerry Gigliotti, 172A. The reason Jim asked me just a minute ago
Is she on?
what my answer was, and I told him I was always under the impression that we are now allowed to go out 10 feet from the house, from the condo, to put a patio. Then I was told they now allow you to plant beyond your patio of 10 feet. Last I knew it was 2 feet, and I'm hearing now 3 feet. And that's what Jim's question was to me outside of this meeting at one time.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what is the actual footage from the patio out?
So,
From the 10-foot patio
got you.
and
I
beyond?
got you. I think, we need to crisp it up. So Barbara, I think we need to put something in writing just to make sure we're all operating with the same guidelines and the same review.
It's not there, Bill.
It's not
It's
there.
not there, Bill. It's not there, Bill.
Lynn?
Yeah, the
Lynn,
form
form
is
isn't
being
there, right.
rewritten.
Lynn, when I get to that, I will be looking into the policies and procedures, and I'll have that ready for the next board meeting, okay, which won't be until September, October. But I'll be checking into it and see what's been done in the past and what we've approved in the past.
That'd be great. And if you could share that with Barbara as soon as you know it.
As
so
soon as
that
I find it, I'll give it to
She may
Barbara.
want to change some of those. So
Well, I was going to look in the rules we live
so
by, because that's, oh,
as it was said in the minutes, one of Richard's primary roles in the policy and procedures is to go back. Those rules we live by have not been changed in a number of years. And, we've made a lot of changes and things at board meetings. And that's why I asked Tim to come up with a motions and changes book so we can start tracking them. If you want to go back and see if we've made a change in how many feet you can go out from the back of a patio, you'd have to go back to 2019 and go through every single minutes of every single meeting and hope that they were correct and accurate and all inclusive, and check to see when or if a motion was made and carried to change the footage. So, it's virtually impossible to right now to track changes that are being made to those things. So number one, Richard is reviewing the rules we live by and our policies and procedures, and it's going to take a while, but he's reviewing those, and we're going to change them, update them, and where necessary, make them conform with laws and our own beliefs how we want the community to be. And then Tim is going to capture those things, and he's going to have them in a separate, probably a spreadsheet, rather, I call it a folder, but I have a spreadsheet, so that everything that changes under lawns, everything that changes under irrigation, everything that changes under, the treasury reporting or whatever is captured in one place, so we can find them easily and refer back to them. And the rules we live by have to be updated on a regular basis. So
Richard,
thank you, Jerry.
I would ask that you, if you're looking at this over the next couple months, to let me know what you're looking at, because I'll still be getting planting requests.
Right, I'll
Okay.
check with you when I get to that area. I've already started working on the rules we live by, but I haven't gotten yet to that,
Well, I've
that
started
point.
cleaning up the last form, and it did say.
Right, okay. Well,
Okay.
I'll get to you.
Okay, and there should be no changes to forms without them coming before the board and having a vote on them. That's just common practice and shouldn't be the practice that we all here follow. So, okay, anything else on landscaping? Is that where we are?
Yeah, we're done.
No, we're at Director at Large,
Oh, yeah,
Richard.
right.
He
I-
was talking about
No, he did, he
landscaping.
did do it. Right. We passed me. It's now.
Are we done
Oh,
with that?
policies and procedures.
Policies and procedures. Richard's double dipping
That's
on the
me,
agenda.
that's me. I mentioned earlier that I am reviewing the rules we live by now. So I'll have more definite information at the next board meeting. Because once I go through it, I'll have to go back and check minutes to make sure nothing has been changed that's in the rules we live by, and maybe have to make a phone call to make sure that we're legally doing what we should be doing. So that'll come about at the next board meeting in September, October. So that'll give me time.
It would be nice, Richard, if it's doable, reasonably doable, is to get at least an estimated schedule of what you're going to do. So you would tell us today that for the next month, I'm going to be looking at the lawns and gardens rules.
Yeah, well,
And so anyone who has input to that on the board or wherever could give you some input to that during that month, or make sure that you heard from them or they heard from you before you come to the board meeting to discuss it. And that way you've got the inputs in advance.
all right, but my suggestion there would be is if they would look in the rules we live by and see covered by their directorship and give me a note. This way,
That's
when
fine,
I
too.
get to that area, then I will be able to include it or let them
Yeah.
know why it can't be included. So
Right.
yeah, if you have any information about your area of directorship, whether it be lawns and gardens, building and grounds, or whatever it is, give me some information and I'll look at that when I look at the rules we live by. Because I started looking at them, but there aren't too many pages that I've gotten through already. So,
Okay.
okay.
All
And then
right.
I'll talk more about Blue Stream at
Yep.
the old business.
Okay. Do we have any, Jim?
It's breaking the fence down.
It's not on.
Wait a
It's,
minute, the landscapers actually did that?
yeah, they've been doing it for years.
Good.
Well,
The
years
Big
we-
Al's people did that.
Big Al's people were doing that, but
Who-
since
what-
we only started this new contract January,
Correct.
since they have done that, well, have they done that? Well, we haven't trimmed the trees, so how
No,
would they?
but the friends that fall every day, about 25 that fall down. I usually put them in a pound.
Well, I know that.
Can you tell the landscape?
I can tell them, but I don't-
Throw it over the
but,
fence.
yeah.
And when they blow the clippings, not to blow it into your patio because it goes around your door and it goes inside your patio.
Okay.
Then you got to clean it.
Yeah,
it's
they
frustrating
should be
when
blowing it off
you-
the patio. Yeah,
blow
I
away
can,
from that.
yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Jerry?
I do have something to say with as far as the lawn people. There are people who have around these new palm trees, they put a brick or stone or something around it to keep them safe.
Edging.
Okay. Now, there's one condo that why the lawn people are taking the lawnmower all the way up to the blocks, hitting the blocks, moving them. And this is what's happening. I know of a particular condo, not mine, but someone else's, that this is happening too. Consequently, young Jerry had done the whole thing. And now all these blocks have been moved because of the lawn people. She now will have to go back, empty all that dirt out, reset all these blocks, and and refill it again.
Jerry,
So
can you give me
that's
the-
not the only one. They've hit
Sure.
some blocks that I have out there. The same thing. They should be weed eating around them, not taking the lawnmower as close as they can to these blocks and consequently moving them.
Barbara?
Could you give me the building numbers, please? So I can
Um,
be specific to
it-
these people?
Why don't we,
one
why
is-
don't we,
one
instead of
is-
that, why don't we just make a note and an announcement that says, if anyone has any issues with the lawn service and how their lawns are being cut or edged, they should be directed in an email or a note to the office to Barbara Kowalski, and she will investigate them and she'll follow up with the lawn folks.
And-
I want to say that, I never have a problem with my edging around my tree because I have the little scallop things, one level, not three big huge bricks and all kinds of ornate stuff around it. I just have the one edging thing so that they don't hit my tree and it never gets bothered. So there is some shared responsibility between owners and the lawn company. The lawn company tries to get as close as they can because it saves them time. And there's nothing wrong with them trying to do stuff because we get charged based on how much time they spend here. But they shouldn't be hitting if
No,
they're
they
coming
should-
that
they should be
close.
weed eating.
There'll be occasional errors where that will happen. They're supposed to get off the lawnmower and fix them, or get somebody who's doing the trimming is supposed to put them back where they're supposed to be. So we can, talk to them about that. But we also have to, people who are putting these things in have to understand they don't have a personal gardener. And these guys are doing a lot of lawns and a lot of area, and they're doing it in one day. And so people need to have that thought in mind. What can I put up that's beautiful, that I love, but that also is going to withstand commercial lawnmowers going around or weed whackers going around and maybe hitting them?
But I think it's common sense that if you're weed eating around other areas on the lawn, that when you come to those, they should be weed eating around them, not taking a lawnmower, a big machine to see how close you can get. That's not
so,
proper.
Jerry,
So-
I will
Hold
talk to
on.
the lawn people and tell them to edge around, proper word is edge around the trees. See if I can get them to do that. Now, we have planted a lot of extra trees,
That's what I was going to say.
a lot of
it's
extra
one thing
trees, and,
when-
that we didn't include in our contract. So I'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But I'll ask them to do that.
listen, when you're talking about one tree in one person's backyard,
Exactly.
it seems like an easy breezy thing to do. When you look around this community and you look at how many trees there are and how many trees they edge already and how many more they'll do for that, it's a substantial amount of work. None of us in here are landscapers or gardeners, and we're certainly not commercial landscapers or gardeners. So it's going to have to be a cooperative effort between us and the people who are doing the work. Barbara has said she'll follow up with the landscaping people, and she will.
Let me just say this. let me just say this. I have an email specific for landscaping. It's SEC1, the number 1. And that's section 1,
At landscape.
landscaping at hotmail.com.
Say it again. I don't know if they are.
I don't think they are, because I can't even, some of them
Good
I don't
idea.
even know.
Bill?
Yeah, Bill Hooks, 207D. Just to comment on that area there. That's one reason why when we put those trees in, they're in a straight line.
Exactly.
Okay. That's why we don't jog, because it's cutting the grass. They go straight down and back instead of having weave back and forth. We keep them in a straight line. So I hope we continue that process.
Yeah.
It makes it easier on that situation.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Santina?
I think the word edging is wrong. It's actually what they're doing is going around the bricks with a weed whacker. And if the machine, lawn mowing machine that the gardeners are using, knock a brick down, it's an accident. And
Right.
it's not done on purpose. And perhaps a kind phone call to the landscaper to address this issue would
Thank you.
be the right way to do it, because I don't think that they ride around with the lawnmower looking to knock bricks down.
That's
It's
right.
just an
The
accident.
guy who
and
did mine,
I think that just a little communication could fix this issue within a second.
the guy that did mine out in the front, did used an edger.
They're not supposed
Well,
to use an edger.
They
should
used
use
an
a weed
edger around the
whacker.
thing. Well, they didn't.
Okay. Enough.
Okay.
All in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Santina,
Okay. Well, I have a few things that I just want to talk about to inform the board. I received a text message from Scott concerning the heaters, and they continue to be back ordered. They have not gotten to build ours. Alcocal has got a huge backlog, and he will keep me posted, which he has been, as I will keep the board posted on the installation date. The next thing I would like to discuss is the auxiliary parking area, which at the last meeting, we did talk about creating a shelter for garbage that is accumulated by our maintenance men, that is basically supposed to be gardening debris. We mentioned at the last meeting about furniture and personal belongings being dumped there by residents, which I feel that for once a week that we have bulk, maybe people could put their own bulk out. And if there is an emergency situation where they need to use the auxiliary parking area, they can clear that with the office, so that we know that we're going to get mattresses and, you know, dressers or refrigerators, whatever people throw
Yeah.
there. We could make some kind of plans, but basically kindly ask residents to adhere to their own bulk pickup days and put their own garbage out in front of their own unit. Also, the improvements to that area are continuing with tiles being put down and the heater area being cleaned up and preparing for the installation. Last meeting, we talked about Patrick's willingness to put together a shed area to contain the garbage. I would like to know if the board would agree with that, so that I can get some pricing together for it to present to the board next time. So I'd like to know if that would go.
I don't-
That we could talk about. And if that's so, I will do the research and come up with some pricing.
RFP.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, do we have the money? So you know, I would suggest you need to sit down with Janine. I think she's planning, once these numbers get fixed with the new journal entry process, she's going to sit down with each of the members of the board to go through their budget. We're almost halfway through the year to figure that out. We got some serious, significant surprises that have been coming up in terms of what, not just what people want to do for making things look better, but things that need to be addressed and need to be done, and they'll pop up through the conversations here. But that's the first thing, is to see whether you got the money. Don't spend the time and the energy if you don't have the money.
Well, I'm gonna get
do
a kind of roundabout area
Yeah,
where to
that's-
stand so that I would have something to say.
Right.
It's 1,000, it's 4,000, it's
Right.
2,000. So I'm gonna get a roundabout number to submit to the board, and then I figure over the summer, we could decide if we want to put that in our future plan or
Right.
if we want to incorporate it in the current cleanup of the auxiliary parking area.
Right. Well, and again, you're the first cut on that. You, as the director of the pool and the clubhouse, need to look at your budget. You need to look at the project. You need to determine whether that you have the monies budgeted for that, or whether that's something that needs to wait until next year and you put it on you to be budgeted for 2023, and make sure that you bring that before the budget committee, because you need an addition incremental monies to your budget. You don't have a lot, and you've,
Right.
you
And I'm
know, you've
assuming
been
this is gonna be
extending.
over 1,000, not much, but definitely
Right.
over.
So anything over $1,000 is typically an RFP, a request for proposal. And you work with Janine on that because she does the collections of the RFPs and all of that stuff. So,
Okay,
Um,
so I just
but
wanted to
yeah.
bring it to the board's attention that I was gonna go forward with that.
okay.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was the pier, which so far I think is coming along beautifully. I will talk to Larry Corbin and Tim Finkel. I want to thank both of them immensely for their volunteerism on this project. And hopefully everything will be completed before the end of the month. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the chairs, the pool chairs. The material has been delivered. It has been completed, and the one thing that I want to do with the budget committee is make sure that next year we put in the budget to repair the remaining chairs so that we could stay on course with probably 5 to 6 years. These chairs will need to be material replaced. So if we do them all kind of together, we'll be able to plan future-wise when we know that the chairs are going to need repairing. But all the ones that were damaged have been repaired -3, which will go on to the next order of material. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the Christmas tree palms. And I want to thank all the people who have decided to contribute to this, either anonymously or for their own common ground areas around their buildings. Everything has been collected. I will be going to Delray Gardens, picking out the trees myself, tagging them, and making arrangements for the date of planting. And all the people who are involved, I think there's 10 people who have bought trees, will be notified on the day the work is going to be done. And hopefully that will be within the next 4 weeks. I'm open for questions if the board has any towards any of the things that I spoke
Yeah.
about.
So we used all the chair covers that we bought, right?
Correct.
Okay. So it feels like we should have a couple on hand.
We should repair the ones, buy material for the ones that are left.
If
which
there's
Bill,
only
I believe
3?
10, maybe there's 10 broken.
You're tired out?
I was just gonna take a little break.
Yeah.
So there's,
Barbara, we're hearing you.
I would say there's probably, we need 15 more sets of material to fix the remaining chairs.
Right.
And that cost was, I believe, 1,800? 1,200. So
Yeah.
that would be something that we should definitely put into the budget for next year to purchase that
But-
material.
But may I add along with that is, we do have backs for those chairs that we did not replace. I mean, there's a tool that we would have to look at to do that. And also the plastic clips that go on the bottoms of the chairs to hold them in.
Yeah.
Those also we did not get any of those. And those would cost a lot of money. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
So what I'd like, it took us a long time to get that material. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so I don't have any answers, but it seems like if we wait until the new budget comes in January 1st, it'll be the end of next season before we'll get the materials to fix those chairs. So I think if you could spend a little time with Janine to figure out whether there's a way that we could order that material. Do we have to pay 100% upfront on
No,
those?
50.
So if there's a way we could come up with 50% of it to order the chair backs, not the chair backs, the other 15 that haven't been changed out yet, and then we've got it in-house. A, we'll get it cheaper because everything's going up, and B, we'll be ready for a new season next year without having half our chairs broken.
Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea to look forward to being prepared for next season, because that is one of the things that I want to work on during the summer, is being prepared by September with
Right.
whatever repair work or things that we need to get addressed
Yep.
around the pool area.
Yep.
And there are some small little areas that people have been speaking to me about concerning the tiles around the pool, the broken
Right.
latches, whatever. That is small stuff, and all that stuff is going to be addressed during the summer.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Richard?
Yeah, we may want to check with solid waste because in the past, they would allow people to make a phone call to them if they had massive pickups and they didn't have to wait until Tuesday. But they used to come in and they would pick up refrigerators, they would pick up
Oh, that's a great idea.
they would pick up sofas, bedspreads and all that. So you may want to check into that and see if they still do that. Because then all the people have to do is call
Right.
and it'll be picked up. They'll tell them when it'll be
Right.
picked up and that's when they put it out. They don't put it out on
Right.
a Wednesday morning to be picked up the following Tuesday.
Right.
So-
And this is not to make things inconvenient for anybody. It's
No.
just to be considerate to other people who live in the vicinity of the auxiliary parking lot.
Beauty.
It's
It's
beauty
It's
and-
beauty.
And there's been complaints. So we're trying to make everybody happy by
Yeah.
cleaning the area up.
Yeah, well, I'll be less politically correct at that and say that people frankly they want to take out all their crap and they don't want to put it in front of their house. So they go
Yeah.
put it in front of somebody else's house by putting it in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. That's not a nice thing to do. It's against the rules and it's just not nice. Huh? I don't need to be
Girls.
writing any more letters.
But a phone call to solid waste would resolve it.
I will
Yeah.
definitely
Great.
make that
Okay.
phone call and find
Okay.
out.
Do you have more stuff, Santina? Because I
No,
want
I'm
to get us
good.
moving. Tim, how about what?
The fence. The fence around the pool. Oh, you're talking about the white fence with the broken latches? I already said that's gonna get fixed.
The whole fence.
Well, the chain link fence, actually, I've gone through the chain link fence with Tim, and there could be, we could repair that fence
Hold
for a
on.
minimal amount. You're talking about the gate area. I was gonna talk to Janine
Hold on,
about that.
because nobody can hear you.
Whoa, it won't go off.
I'm sorry, Tim, are you talking about the gate that's broken?
No,
or
he's
the
talking about the whole
fence?
fence being replaced. And the-
Yes. Well, I believe, I was gonna look at that, and I believe for a minimal amount of money, I'm talking under $100, I believe that we could fix the gate at this point.
I think
But
what-
addressing the replacement of the gate is something that definitely needs to go on the things to do list for next year. So to spend any money this year on the fence, to do what?
We don't have it. We don't have it. That's a capital expenditure.
Right.
That's what the project list is for, and that's what we are supposedly putting money away for
Correct.
now we have some money in the project's funds. We don't have a lot, but it's a project that did not, as I recall, rise to the top 4 or 5 things. And we've had pool heaters go, we've had the dock is gone, we have the pool building is in disrepair, we have the subterranean termites, we have the paving process. So, it has to be budgeted for, and it has to be a specific project, and there has to be money put in the budget for that. And if the budget committee and or the board decide that that's the priority, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be, because it does need to be done. There's some safety aspects of it that bother me. It has to be budgeted for, because we don't have the extra money we have no padding in the budget this year at all. We have none. We took it all out to try and, bring down the hit of the insurance stuff. And now, of course, everything's gone up, right? Is there anything that anybody's buying for anything on anywhere that costs less or costs the same as last year? I mean, no, it's all going up. So,
Well, I agree with you, Madam President, with that, and that is why I was considering the small amount of investment to repair the fence that we
Right.
have at this point, and then to discuss it with the Budget Committee in the fall to see where we could prioritize the fence. But at this point, if it's only going to be a matter of $100 or $150 to get the fence in workable order, I was thinking that that would be the right route to take at this point, because at least you'll be able to open and close the gate safely. And it's only a matter of buying parts and repairing it. And then we could seriously think of what line item the
right.
replacement of the fence.
I
falls
think
in the future.
what Tim is saying is that last month, we talked about the fence. And we also talked about the fences along the Atlantic Avenue where they're getting in, and they
Yep.
push the fences down.
Yep.
There's fences all over the place that have been pushed down for people to get in and
Entry.
out of our section. That's a safety issue. And I think all the fences should be lumped together and looked at very seriously, because,
It's a security issue.
yeah, I mean, and there, yeah. So I think we should look at it all together.
Yeah. So, well, it has to. So I think that's a good idea. Let's have
Well, that's what we said
a
last
fence
time.
group. You know what happens when you recommend a project, right, Barbara?
I know.
You recommend it, you own it.
Santina and I'll work on that.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
which director does that fall on?
Yeah. So I think we've just had 2 volunteers. Tim, for the minutes, just make sure we have this for
Wait a minute,
posterity.
did I get
We need
volunteered?
Yes, you did.
Santina and Barbara Kowalski are going to work on a proposal for fencing, and some of it may be fixable now,
Maybe.
and some of it may not be fixable until we get an influx of, cash that's budgeted for next year.
Right.
But at least it'll be looked at, it'll be planned, and we'll be able, we'll get it done. I mean, that's the way we got to do these things. Cut them into small bites and
Yeah.
get them done.
Can I add?
And you can hit Tim up for some of his money too, if you want.
Can I add something to that? Years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was asked to get a quote to do this, and I did. And the quote came out to less than $6,000 to encompass the smoking area and all. The women's club and the men's club had committed, and the board had committed. So it would have been basically $2,000 for each of them to do this whole new fencing here. In fact, I still have the sample that I presented to the board. Unfortunately, a member of the board was against this. And when he spoke up and said, no, we don't need it, we don't want it, and everything, the men's club and the women's club pulled back also. So
Well,
I got the
the only
company,
thing-
I got the company to extend for 2 more years, that same price, okay? And in those 2 years, so now that was 3 years total. In those 3 years, nobody moved. The board wouldn't accept it. The women's club then stopped making their presentation for it, and the men's club did the same thing.
Santina,
the
only
thing I
Santina,
would-
please. I
So,
just-
we worked hard on, I worked hard on this, and the committee worked hard on it back then, and it was shot down.
So I just want to be really clear. I have been on the board for 4 years. And the subject of fences, while they have been talked about, while Richard, you have on several occasions given us that historical perspective of some time ago when you did that work. In the 4 years that I've been on the board, there has never been a conversation, a formal board meeting conversation, or a vote one way or the other to replace those fences. Now, I have heard and was there when those conversations happened at the budget committee. And it was put on as one of the priority and project list things, and it's been on there every single year for the I can only speak to the 4 years that I've been here. For 4 years, it's been on there every single year, and it's on there here. But you can't, we come up with a list, the budget committee comes up with a list of 45 things that, you know, they say these are things we'd like to do, or we need to do, or we must do, or whatever, and then they pare it down. And at most, we have the money to get at the top couple or three things, and fencing never rises to that level. So if we want to do, I'm going to say it again, if we want to do new fencing around the pool, it is a capital expenditure. It is going to have an RFP process done with today's numbers and in today's environment by the director of the pools and clubhouses in 2022. And I need an RFP if she believes that that thing can be done, or I need a response back to the board that says we can't do it. It's $15,000, and I'm not even going to bother taking up everybody's time because I don't have $15,000 and it ain't gonna happen. It really, it doesn't matter whether 6 or 7 or 8 years ago it was $2,000 times 3. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who voted against it or anything. We are where we are today. And that is, we need new fencing. When are we going to do it, and how are we going to pay for it?
Well, it would be really nice if the men's or the women's club decided once again to make their generous offer to chip in to replace the fence. So that is something that would have to be addressed next fall when they return. And hopefully we can go through the process and get some kind of numbers together and make a choice after that.
Yeah, you have to remember
You're going to
though,
have to wear that thing on your head or something, or do what Barbara's doing, because you
You
are going
can't-
in,
now
and
can
every
you-
time you
oh,
move your
sorry.
head, no, you can't help it, but find a place where you can move your head and it moves with
Okay.
you.
the thing about the men's club and the women's club is, before you get too started on that, is that they haven't had a chance to make money for 2 years. So they're being very careful. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want
know.
to speak for either of them.
Yeah, but I don't know, but I think we should ask them
I'm not saying that we shouldn't ask.
because they had committed in the past, and I think we should ask them again if they would make a small commitment, and we can find out what their commitment would
I
be.
think we should ask. I just don't think we should
Right,
go into it. We
Well-
should know what the big project is.
right.
So
Before
stand for that.
we ask them, absolutely, we should get a figure and say,
I
hey,
don't want to count on
it's
anybody.
it's the $15,000, so it would cost us $5,000 each if you'd like to contribute to that. Yes, I agree. We should go out and get the bids first, and then go to the men's club and the women's club and ask them and see what we can come up with the board.
So I
Didn't-
would suggest the process be, Santina, go see what you can put together for what the costs are and the proposals are. Make sure you're tying in with Janine on it so that she can give you some direction on whether you're smoking dope or whether there's a possibility of it happening, and plan to come back to the committee. Remember, you can do what you can do within your budget until January 1st, when the budget will change again. And you'll have from October until December to try and convince the budget committee and then the board to increase that monies or put that project on speed dial. And so that will be your opportunity to do that. But, and that works well because the women's and men's club will be back, around the October, November timeframe, and you can start getting people to get, their heads around that you're going to need this money in January, for instance, to pay for the project. But,
Okay, that
there's no
sounds
money
great.
there's no money to do it today. If the pool fence fell down today, we would have to fix it.
Right.
If it fell down today, we would have to fix it because that's a legal
Well, thank God
requirement.
it is nowhere
But
near
thank-
falling down.
Yeah, well, thank God, but a couple of good, strong wins.
Yeah.
Well, feel free to get together with Santina and Patrick and walk the fence line and make sure that the fence, and I would suggest if you haven't already done it, that you and he do that. to walk the fence line and make sure that it's secure, because it is indeed a legal requirement for
Well,
us to keep
one
it
other
safe.
thing, do we want to make the gates that enter and exit the pool area accessible? Because right now, those two gates are chain linked, closed. And we had an emergency at the pool area with one of the residents that we needed to get to him, if you remember, a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and we couldn't. So will the board make a decision today about should those gates be locked, or should those gates remain accessible to get in and out of?
Yeah.
Because right now they're locked.
Right, right. And I don't know the answer to that, but that I think is going to require a longer conversation about why they're locked in the first place and whether they should be locked all the time, or whether those are locks that have to be locked. You know, we get hamstrung here. You know, you can say, okay, we really just need to lock them at night. We don't need to lock them all the time. We just need to lock them at night. Who's doing it? Who's going around at 9 o'clock at night and locking the fences? You know? Who's going to get up and make sure that everybody has access through those fences at 7 o'clock the next morning?
I think, doesn't section 2, didn't they fob there?
No, they key. Every
key.
resident has a
They have a
key.
key.
There's
to the
somebody that
front
did do
gate.
fobs. One of the sections I heard did do fob
They might.
to get
But
into
you
the
know,
pool.
I wanted to
I'm
put a
just
new
saying.
fob. I wanted to put a fob on the front gate.
No, if
on
you
the-
got a fob already. And you key your fob to that, that's all.
Well,
I wanted to
regardless
put
of,
a fob on the front door of this clubhouse so people actually could come and go, since they own it,
Right.
through the front door, and it was $5,000. All right, so remember, when we're talking these things, it's not easy like, oh, just put a fob on it.
Well,
That, you
No, I
know,
mean, I know
the
they did
system
that.
has to be set up. It's a reading mechanism that has to be a lot. I mean, it's just,
Well, I
nothing's easy, and we don't
just,
have money to do anything except for if it's an emergency.
I just want to bring to your
Yeah.
attention that the white gates are not locked.
Right.
They are a clip pull and the door opens.
Right.
So there is constant access to the pool area.
Right.
So perhaps the other two gates should be repaired at this time and left open. Because what's the sense of locking those if the other two are
Well,
unlocked?
for me, it would be that those two are in the back of the community and can't be seen from the street. And so if people are going through there to break into this building, you're not going to see them from back there. It's an easy access place for them, and the locking of the fence just makes it a little bit more difficult, I would think. But again, somebody needs to do a little bit of evaluation, talk to some people who may have been on the board back when the decision was made to put locks on 2 and not the other 2. But, and then make a recommendation on what we should do, whether they should be locked or unlocked. But the forum right here is not to explore it, but to take a recommendation and make a decision.
Janine
on it.
pointed out to me that the fencing was number 16 out of 24 that were actually brought forward. Before there was probably 40.
Right.
But so.
Oh, good, it's moving up the list.
Or
Okay,
something might go
anything
ahead of
else,
it.
Moving up the
Santina?
list.
Not really.
Anything else, Santina?
No, I'm good.
Jim?
Who owns the fence on the borderline? Yes. Who is the owner of that fence? High Point
I
own
would
it?
not know. I
Oh.
would direct that question to Richard. Who owns the fence from where the cement wall
Yeah.
ends
Not
to
all of
the
it.
end?
Who owns it?
Would that be Delray Gardens?
No, I think we own it. If we look at any of the surveyors' indications, when Delray Gardens had their property surveyed, I think we're on this side of those markers. I think we own it, but Delray Gardens has always maintained it for us. But now it went down for Wilma. It was damaged during Wilma, and Delray Gardens did do some work to it to put it back up. And now it's going down again, I understand. So that would be our responsibility, either to put a new fence in there or to correct it. Because once Delray Gardens moves, part of their contract is for a 4-foot wall to go in there. So
That's part of the project that you and Barbara Kowalski
Yeah.
are gonna have to figure out. Who owns what, what needs to be replaced, what needs to be repaired, and what the point, what your suggestion for a plan be to do that, you know? Okay, so
You already did it?
we're gonna move along and we're gonna take a vote on the pool and clubhouse director's report. Do we have a motion made yet?
I'll second it.
Tim, Richard seconds, all in favor, say
Aye.
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 The ayes have it. Let's move to sales and leases, please. We've got some very big items coming up here on Blue Stream and documents and other stuff. So let's do it.
All
Barbara,
the,
what?
are you, can you
I'm sorry.
hear me?
I didn't see your hand up, Jerry.
Regarding what account that trash areas should be taken out of. Is that supposed to come out of the pool account? Because that's like, I would think that would come out of one of the accounts in the budget other than the pool. Was that's for the association. That should be part of the board's responsibility to have an enclosure for the trash, not to come out of the pool area, because their responsibility is this whole area, not a trash bin.
We
the-
are responsible.
If you say that is the responsibility of Santini's budget, because the maintenance shack is on that same property, in my eyes, you're saying, well, that maintenance shack should come out of her budget also
So
for the
let me
maintenance of
very-
it. I
let
don't,
me be
I
very-
don't
Right,
understand.
I get you. So let me be very clear. It doesn't make a tinker's dam with the difference which one it comes out of. If it's an issue, it comes, we decide, Janine and office and the accountants decide where that money has to come from. Santina is heading it up because she has that area under her purview. So she's going to make a recommendation. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come out of the budget of the pool and the clubhouse. It may, or it may be considered something that is part of the entire organization. So we need to take $1,000 from the buildings. We need to take $1,000 from landscaping. We need to take 500 from this, that, and the other thing. Where the money comes from is less important than if we have the money. So that's when we do these things. Budgets are for our plans, and plans change. And this is the kind of thing that says, geez, we didn't plan for that. We need to do it. We've decided we have to do it. Then we say, where are we going to get the money from? And we go through and we figure it out. She's going to do that. That's why she's going to meet with Janine and talk about where the money is, how much it's going to cost, and where we might be able to do that. We have things like special projects and emergency funds and those kinds of things that can be looked at for those kinds of things as well. So that's how we'll do it. That work? All right, great. Thanks, Jerry. Okay, can I have we didn't vote, right? We did vote. Yes, we did. We are all in. Sales and leases, Barbara Milano, still with us?
Okay, I'm there. I'm here. So, everything that was on the market in High Point has a contract on it. And we have two new sales. 110B, which sold a couple months ago, is back on the market with a realtor, and I don't know the price. And 165B is on the market with it, and that's with a realtor also. And that one's 169.9. So those are two
Those are-
new listings.
Barbara, could you just repeat that again? They are on the market again, those two?
Only 165 on the market.
So
And
The
110B
110B sold a couple months ago. It was Vicky Stuber's place,
Yep.
Sturber, and the renters bought it. And now they have put in an intent to sell on it.
Huh.
I don't know the price, but they got it at a very reasonable price, so they're probably just flipping it. 110B, it's with a realtor. And 165B, as in boy, that one is also on the market, and that is 169.9 with a realtor.
Is that
That's the renter, Joe, that's been there
Oh,
for like
okay.
9 years.
okay? Got you.
Yeah,
Well, it's a fast moving market. We're
Yeah.
hearing numbers of like 250 grand for a renovated 2-bedroom.
yep,
Sold. That's
crazy.
pretty crazy.
Yep.
But I'll just keep telling people, you got to go find someplace else to live. You might make good money on a unit in here, but you're going to pay it out
Yeah.
on the other end too.
Yeah, exactly.
Any comments, questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. Can I have a motion to accept Barbara's
I'll make a
report?
motion.
Milano, wait a minute. Richard made the motion and Barbara Kowalski seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? The ayes have it. Social Committee, Barbara Kowalski.
Let's see, social and cultural, Saturday, the 21st from 6, that's this coming Saturday, from 6 to 8 will be a dance party at the pool area. It will feature DJ Warren and bring your own drinks and snacks. A $5 donation is required and a 50-50 fundraiser is planned. This is the final event for the season. We will have a social committee meeting, however, with those members who will be here during the summer to see what events can be scheduled. We will be looking at having movies and other events over the summer for our full-time residents. Wear a bathing suit on Saturday and we're at the movies and take a swim. Any suggestions are welcome for either social or cultural events for over the summer or next year. Email, this is a new, different email, scc1social@hotmail.com.
Beautiful. Yeah, again, congratulations, Barbara, on a
Thank
great year. It really was
Thank you.
terrific. Thank you,
Thank you. I can tell you, I have a great committee.
clearly.
Great.
Okay,
committee.
can I have a motion to accept Barbara's?
I'll make a motion.
Janine makes the motion. Can I have a second? Second by Santina. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Strategy and planning. Janine.
Okay. I have an update that I'm passing out here as of yesterday, but I made a few changes today because we had a couple of volunteers. So- And this is the 3 to 5 year budget committee priority listing that was set up last year and given to the committee, proposed to the board. So I noticed a couple of changes I can make on this already on the professional maintenance of the landscaping in front. I've marked that completed because of the installation of all the plants and the mulch and et cetera. So I'm trying to identify items that we can mark as complete. I consider that completed. If anyone has any questions on any of these or wants a further update, please let me know and I'll change anything on here. I've noticed I've put not only the progress as of May 17th, but there's a column for future endeavors in that particular section. Now, the next one to be completed is on the second page. That was a very easy one. It was listed as number 10, removal of the horseshoe pit. So that's done. A couple of these we've had no action that I know of at all. Actually, it has that, like the maintenance shed, I can upgrade that to say that we have looked at it. We just haven't got any bids or any action taken. Some of these I didn't know, like the improved street lighting, number 12. If we have in fact changed bulbs or something like that, I'd be interested in knowing. I can update that. The drainage issue I've marked as completed. That's number 13. That was the issue behind, I don't know the house number, but here on the corner.
Yep.
And we put that drain.
132, 14, that whole
140
area down
drainage.
the west side of the entry boulevard. Yeah.
Like 150.
Okay.
142.
So-
that area.
Not that this won't be addressed in the future, because I understand that although we taking care of this problem, maybe 3 to 5 years from now, there may be a situation where it changes and we may have to redo any work, or not only in that area, but anywhere else. So this should be considered by the budget committee for future changes and money put aside. Let's see. Number 16 on the second page, I'm combining all of the fencing, the perimeter fencing, install, repair, or replace, along with the pool fencing and the auxiliary auxiliary parking fencing. And that with Barbara Kowalski and Santina Rizzo to review. And the last one completed that should probably not have been put on this list at all was number 21. That was just a grill, and that's for small events that really shouldn't have been on this list. It's not a major event. So please look this over and send any changes you'd like to see, and I'll update it for the next meeting.
One of the things I think, this is going to get updated in the fall, but one of the things that would be appropriate, I think, is to name a point person on each one of those. That way somebody owns it. And so
You're right.
if you put my name on something, I kind of feel like, oh crap, there's a board meeting. I got to get at that one and get something done on it to move it ahead. It puts a little extra oomph. So maybe we could ask the board members to put their initials beside those things that they need to get done. One of the things, Tim, is the pool pump house repair. Patrick has said in the past that that's something he can do himself.
Yes, we've discussed it.
So
And
I don't know what the cost is or any of that stuff, but at least that's, maybe something that can be done on the summer project list.
correct.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote to approve the report.
Make that motion.
Need a motion.
Barbara Kowalski and Richard Gigliotti. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Janine. This is a great map for stuff that needs to be done. All right, old business. Richard, you want a drum roll or what on this one?
Well, I think there's a few people who have to be complimented because they did an excellent job. Janine, Lynn, and myself. And we've been working with this for Blue Stream for a number of months. But we've come out with some really good solutions. Not that we have problems, but advances or increases to what we all presently have. We'll be signing an 8-year contract with Blue Stream. We will be getting a door fee. Since our original contract still had 3 years remaining, there was a concern that we may have to pay them back if we signed a new contract. Well, we organized a door fee that took that into account. So instead of getting a $300 door fee, we're getting a $150 door fee. So we're still getting money from Blue Stream towards this new contract, which will last 8 years. Internet will be increased every 2 years from 200 to 200 to 400, 400, 500, 500, 600, 600, 700, 700. If you don't know what those numbers are, it's input and output. Okay. So when we signed with Blue Stream 4 years ago, they were the only ones around here that had 200 by 200 internet speed. Now almost
Even though we
everybody-
didn't get it.
But no, we had it. We got 200. We
200?
got 200, 200. Yes, we got that. And now we're going to go to 400, 400 the minute we sign the contract. And then every 2 years, that'll increase by 100. So it'll be, from 22 to 23, it'll be 400, 400. From 24 to 25, it'll be 500, 500, okay, and then 600, 600, 700. So those are the things that we've gotten with the internet. We'll also have a 1 gig coming into our office for the office and the clubhouse. Also, there once we get all the fiber in, this 1 gig will go out to the maintenance shed and all the way out to the guard shack. Okay, and we asked for that simply because if we want to put in any kind of a picture monitoring for thievery, break-ins, or all that, we need that out there. So they agreed to that. They agreed to the servicing of it. They agreed to also giving us um, additional help and understanding what's going on with that. So the internet was well covered. Okay, now we go to the TV. And the TV, we have a lot of new things that we're going to be trained in through Blue Stream. Okay, we have the vocal remote. If you don't know what a vocal remote is, you know your remote now that you have for your TV. You have to push all the buttons. The new one is give me channel 605. And it automatically changes to 605. Okay, that's the one step. The next step is every house is going to have DVRs in it. Okay, and the DVRs cover if you're watching a program on channel 10 and you wanted to watch a program on channel 5, you can record channel 5 and look at it later. Now that is going to allow you 100 hours of recording. So the 100 hours of recording means that you can also delete. It doesn't mean that that's all you can do. It means that if you build up 100 hours in that recorder, it won't take anymore. But if you record a 605 program and then you look at it tomorrow, if you delete it, you still have 100 hours. So anytime you delete, you're still going to have the amount of hours remaining in there. So we're going to get HBO Max. We're going to get schooling or programs for us to come in here, and they will explain everything to us and how to work it. So we have all of that we're having. What else do we have? Oh, we're going to have Wi-Fi. Okay, they're going to do away with all coaxial cables in your house, so you won't have the cable going into your little monitor, then from a coaxial cable from there to your TV. They're doing away with all of that. They're going to have one unit coming into the laundry room, and that will be distributed to each of the 4 units in that building. And then in your unit, you will have one big unit or one small unit, whatever it is. I don't know the size of it yet. And that will disperse whatever you're looking at. So that will be Wi-Fi'd in your house. So you won't have any coaxial cables connecting from your little DVR to your television. And the DVR box, does anybody here have the DVRs now? And do you know that the box is about this square, okay, about this square and about this big, okay? So that will be given to us through our contract as what we have now. 3 of those will go into every house. So anybody that's paying for DVR now, you will no longer have to pay for it once this all comes about. So you'll have three of those in your house. Now, if you only choose to have 2 or 1, that's up to you. But
it's in the same box. No, it's in the same box. We're getting 3 boxes per unit, and it includes DVR on the boxes.
Yeah.
So it's not a separate piece of equipment.
No, you're getting 3 of those little things just as you have now. Right now, there was a crazy situation. They ran out of materials back then. Some of us have 2 of the little boxes that are called TiVo boxes and 1 DTA box. And that's how the program was set up 4 years ago. But now with the new program, everybody's going to have the same DVR boxes. And the DVR box is very small. You can have up to 3 of them. You can have up to 3 of those. So this is what the association has worked on, the committee, and they've come up with some great things. You'll have no coaxial cable. They hope to do this. Right now, they're putting a brand new terminal in section 7 that will intensify all of their outputs. So we will have better receptions and all that. And this will all take place before the end of the year. So right now, you're going to work with what you have. Our prices have not gone up. We still maintain a 3% increase a year. So the committee did a lot with pricing. It did a lot with programming. It did a lot with all that we're going to get. And I'm open for questions. And you'll be trained. And they will be, we will be trained.
Richard, are we going to get anything other? You said HBO Max, but I thought that there was going to be others that I read in your minutes.
Well, we have digital core, okay, is something that's going to give us maybe 75 more channels. Okay, so we're going to have that, and HBO Max, they're about the biggest things that we're going to get, other than the 3 DVRs.
You'll be able to stream still if you
Yeah.
want to buy other special, but there are a couple of hundred. There's a lot of channels, but there's a
Yeah.
couple of hundred sort of named channels that you get. Depends really on what you're looking for. I'm happy because you're going to get the NFL Network. I'm a football crazy person. See,
Yeah.
and there are games this year that you couldn't watch unless you had the package. It cost me $12 a month for the football season to pay out of my pocket for NFL Network, and that's now included as part of the package. So not everybody needs it, but it's there. There's quite a few channels that are on there of that type, that if you have a specialty interest, but it's got all the regular channels, your normal sort of news
It would be
channels
great
and
if they had
local
the Mets.
channons and
That would be great if they had the Mets.
yeah.
But
Yeah, there's so much
I haven't done
more.
a side by side comparison to them, but I don't think so. We're getting the HBO and we get Stars. We get HBO, Stars, and I think Cinemax too.
All
right, that's what I
we're-
was asking
Yeah.
when he just said
wait,
HBO
wait,
Max.
wait. From HBO Max takes in everything that we have plus additional thing. Everything that Max includes, we're going to get. Okay, we're going to get everything that Digital Core includes. We're going to get 75 more channels with that, and additional. Digital Core is a whole new program. If you saw one of
It's
the
a Blue
channel
Stream
listings, if you
listing.
saw one of the channel listings, Digital Core gives us so many more channels. Okay, that's what Digital Core does. Plus, it intensifies everything that we're having. In addition to the internet and the channels, we still have. Does anybody here have the hardline phone through? Okay, we have the hardline phone through it, but now, if,
Can anybody say yes?
what's that?
It's all right. Just go ahead, Richard.
Okay, so now, if we're paying $19.95 a month for that, and you can call almost all over the world for nothing. We used to buy credit cards to call Canada. But now we don't have to do that anymore. So if you're paying $19.95, and if you're going to leave the area for more than 6 consecutive months, that fee drops down to $6 a month. But 6 consecutive months, you can't go 2 weeks here, 3 weeks here, 5 weeks there. So it may not help us, but a lot of the Canadians it'll help, and a lot of the seasonal people, not just Canadians, but a lot of the seasonal people from up north coming down here, if they're not here for 6 months, they can drop that phone fee down to $6 a month. So we have some really good advantages that the committee really negotiated with.
Can I just add one that I think is particularly good? It depends on how much you use your phone, but you're going to be able to download the Blue Stream app onto your cell phone. And so if you travel or you go up north
Mhm.
for, the summer, you can get all your channels on your telephone up there. So you can watch 97. Is that true?
Yeah, you should be able
think
to watch
there was some
anything
question
here.
about that. I think you can get 97 on it, but you'll be, if you go up north and you don't have Cinemax or you don't have HBO Max, you're going to be able to get that on your Blue Stream. And so that's kind of a cool thing to be able to do. It sort of expands. Some people, will have to do some figuring out on how to make that happen. But I think it happens just like today. If you want to add a streaming service, you have to have a telephone, a TV that allows you to stream. So it's got to be, just within the last few years.
Well, I can get rid of my stars.
Huh?
I
Yeah,
can get rid of my stars.
Yeah, if you're renting Stars or paying extra for Stars or Cinemax or whatever the ones that are listed, you can drop those and you won't have to pay for those.
you're
They'll
gonna
come with
save
your-
more money
Yeah.
with this whole new program that we negotiated, and they've given us a lot. They really have given us a lot, and without any increase in our payment to them, other than the 3% a year, and that we had in the past. So we've accomplished. The committee has accomplished a great deal. We just have to sign the contract, and once the contract is signed, they will come out and let us know exactly what the definite time frame will be, because they have to come out and do a whole design in the areas to bring in the coaxial, getting rid of the coaxial cable.
Yeah, putting in the fiber optic.
Right, putting in the fiber optic, getting rid of all the coaxial cables. So there will be no more coaxial cable in your house, just whatever remains up in the attic. And I don't know if they're going to do anything with those. So that's what I have. Any questions? Any more
Yes.
questions?
Question in the front. No.
No, because in order for us to get the bulk rate to keep everything down, we have to have everybody in there. Okay. So like the people from up north, if they're up north for 4 or 5, 6 months, they're still paying also for everything. So, and even though they're not using it, but they're paying for everything. That's the only way we can get the bulk rate for everybody, and we're all saving the money.
You're all set, Gladys.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I
We
don't know.
actually
I don't know
already
if we
have it,
have.
but we
I
don't
don't know
wanna
if we have
confuse
any
people.
channel brochures over there now, but they did drop some off. But yes, you will have a whole brochure on all the channels, and they'll talk about things when we get into inform us of how to use all the new items that we're getting. So, and they'll talk about that also. And they do have the brochures. We had some here.
We have them, we just decided not to put them out because we didn't want people confusing with what we have today and what's coming,
What's
and we're
coming.
not sure when it's coming, so we didn't put them out. It's
Yeah.
similar to the Blue Stream pamphlet you got when you first moved in.
Yeah.
In addition, when the installers come in, and there will be an installation process, so people are gonna have, that's a big challenge for us because we got to get people into the units when they're ready to get in. And if people aren't here, we're gonna have to get in there. Either they're gonna have to arrange for someone to let them in or allow us to go in. And that's a challenge for us. But the installers will give you at least initial directions on how to use like the voice remote and all of that stuff, and make sure everything's working properly. Then they're going to have several town hall meetings here in the clubhouse where people are invited to come, and there'll be a walkthrough section, and hopefully they'll have a few things set up here in the clubhouse so you can try it out, while they're here. And then we've been told that they're going to give us a person in the clubhouse for a couple of hours. How often, Richard? Regularly, let's just say regularly.
There's one that's 4 hours, 4 days a year, and then there's one that's going to be in here, I
think
forgot
it's a
what it
couple
was.
of hours a week.
Yeah,
for
a couple
4
hours
weeks
a
or
week
something.
right after it's set up, and that will be for individuals to also have town hall meetings, but then the most of them will be individual. So you have a problem, you make an appointment, you come in and you talk to them, you sit down, they'll answer all your problems. So
I think the other thing I want to make sure that we highlight is, we have had a torturous at times relationship with cable companies and getting stuff fixed and getting it to run. And it's so frustrating because it's so much part of our lives now. But for the first time that I know of, we have actual specific language in the contracts. Now, putting in the fiber optics, which is a glass wire inside of a protective coating, but it's a
100 glass
wire.
wires.
Yeah,
There's
thousands,
many,
millions of glass wires in the same size as the wires are today. That's what we mean by fiber optics. It's much more reliable and it's easier for them to fix from the office. No more this unplug your telephone or unplug your TV and wait 10 seconds and plug it back in and see what happens. They can do all that stuff from back in the customer care center rather than having you go through it in your house. That's a big deal, but they also have specific language in the contract that gives us a certain amount of time when a problem is reported. There's a certain amount of time they have to resolve it before it gets ratcheted up to the next step to come out to fix it. And there is a financial compensation part of the deal to give us monies or to give us discounts based on them not meeting those required timeframes to resolve problems. And Richard, you'll confirm for me because you worked on the last one here in Comcast. I don't think we've ever had that before.
Well, if everyone is out for 24 hours, we will get a 1-day credit on our charges. So everybody has to be out. The service time is 7 days. The service time is 7 days, and they've been really working good with that. And the other thing that they've worked well with is that if people have come into the community and they've gotten $200 or $300 bills because Blue Stream had to come out to take the old material away, the old appliances, the old units away, boxes, whatever, and they would charge them. And if people called me, I would talk to Blue Stream, and I've saved them hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the last year or more. That's one way that we can resolve all of this. And it's pretty much like Lynn says, it's pretty much in the contract how we can save money through this new contract.
At this time, without any other questions, I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the Blue Stream contract as presented.
So we have a motion on the floor.
I'll
by
second the
Janesh. Richard
motion.
will second.
I'll second it.
Are there any other questions from the board members on where we are with the contract? Barbara Milano, you okay?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Okay, so I'm moving the motion. Can I have those in favor signal by
Aye.
saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll look to sign that. We had one little nit we were working on, Richard and I, this morning. We're waiting to hear back from the rep, but it's a nit, and we expect to sign that today. Over 55 owners and residents. We're at 2 hours now, and I don't want to kill people here, but I'm going to try and make this as easy as I can or succinct. We have had multiples from the day this place was built until now. We've had a number of different approaches to the question of how old do you need to be to own and live in High Point Section 1. We have the most recent changes aligned us with something called HOPA. HOPA is HOPA, and that stands for Housing for Older Persons Act. And what that says is that residents, let's be clear on the language here, residents, not owners, residents must, at least one resident must be 55 years of age or older. We have had several amendments in the past that said all owners need to be 55 or all occupants need to be 55 and plus. Those are changes that were made by boards in the past that are in the language that have been each one of those was an opportunity to try to clarify the information and try to make a decision on where we're going with it. Last year, we made a decision as a board that we were going to, because we're not limited to what HOPA says, we just can't do any less than what HOPA says. Last year, we made the decision that until we had, an in-depth discussion, like it's a lot of work needs to be done on researching, et cetera, and made a decision as a board to put in front of the community at an annual meeting a proposal on what the language should be. That we would go with all owners and occupants must be 55 or older. That is complying with HOPA and doing more than HOPA requires. And HOPA doesn't care about owners. It only cares about occupants. The community says you got to have 80% or better have to be 55 or older. All right. There's a number of questions and a number of concerns about what it should say, whether it should be everybody under any circumstances has to be over 55. What are the exceptions that you would make? We make an exception for people who inherit, for instance. But always making sure that we have that 80% people who live here are over 55. And we've gone back and forth. Once again, in front of the attorneys, talking about it. We're just trying to protect ourselves and the community. HOPA allows us to discriminate. Real important, it allows us to discriminate. And that discrimination is we can say no to people who want to live here who are under 55. We're allowed to do that. And that's what the act did. It allows, in this case, to discriminate against people who are under 55. So we need to get really clear in our head what it is we want the language to say. Have that conversation as a board, decide what that language should say, and then vote on it and get the lawyers to look at it to make sure that it's crystal clear. Because right now there's all kinds of what ifs. And we don't want to be in a lawsuit for $1 million because someone says we discriminated against them and it's not part of the HOPA thing. We want to make sure we have the right people living here in terms of the type of community that we want to have. All that needs to be straightened out. We need to agree on it. We need to get the lawyers to look at it, bless it, make sure the language is legal. And then we need to put it in front of the community to have the community vote that, yes, they did agree with the board that that's what we want to do. That's the process to change documents and declarations, and we need to do that. In the meantime, this board has decided with counsel from attorneys that we need to reset our current approach to age so that we are as protected as we can be. Some people love this, and that's what they'd vote for anyways. Some people don't, and they wouldn't vote for it if it was a vote. But for now, the lawyer's recommendation and the agreement of many of us who have been involved in the process now and in the past is that for our own safety, legal safety, we should say that we're going to simply follow the HOPA rules, which is residents of the community must be at least one legal occupant of the community that resides here must be 55 years of age and older. And that's what has been the most recent discussions by the board. So to start and finish, hopefully, this conversation, there is a commitment by this board in bringing this before the board. I look to all of my board member partners and say, we have a commitment that this has to be addressed over the next 8 or 9 months before next March. We need to get it settled in our heads what we're going to do. We need to communicate it to the community on what it is, why we're suggesting or recommending it, why we're voting to have the rules say what they say. And then we have to prepare for the annual meeting in March to have a vote on this. In the meantime, the motion is that until that vote happens in front of the general residents and owners of the community, that we fall back to the simple HOPA limitations, which are all residents must be, one resident in every building must, in every unit must be 55 or older. No, no. So that is a real, that is part of the confusion, is that some of the changes that have been made and some of the language in the documents have changed over time or were set up, and some talk about occupants and some talk about residents and some talk about owners. And there's less of a distinction between residents and occupants than there is between those two and owners. HOPA does not deal with owners whatsoever. It deals with people who reside here. And our rules, it's been unclear because it's changed. As people have tried to correct other things, the language that has been used has sometimes been unclear. And so right now, and the last time that the amendment was changed, it was not, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not procedurally accurate according to the laws of Florida. Now, it's been 5 years since that happened. So, you know, the lawyer says that's a very low risk of it being a problem, but we should have language that's clear and succinct and that meets the standard of the law for how it's put together. We have to decide that. Right now, what we're saying is we will follow the law as it's stated in HOPA. And that is that people who reside here, there must be at least one person in every unit that is over 55. And it doesn't talk to
Hey, Lynn,
occupants.
Lynn, who's asking a question? I can't see.
Oh,
They didn't
sorry,
identify them.
Santina asked
Okay.
the question.
Okay, I couldn't hear her. I couldn't hear the question.
Okay, so
I mean, I heard your
question-
answer, so I'm fine. I'm
Okay.
fine. But I just
Sorry.
didn't know who was talking.
There, sorry, thanks for telling me that. We'll make sure you can hear it. So that's what it doesn't deal with owners at all. But we're saying that we're not going to deal with owners. Let's be clear. That means until we have that vote next March, that means that, you know, an 18-year-old kid can come in here and buy a unit and he can rent it out as long as one of the people who's living there is over 55. He can buy it and flip it, you know, do the work on it and flip it and whatever. He can't live here unless he's got somebody living with him that's over 55.
To rent it,
Yeah, right.
yes.
He would have to own it for that doesn't change that rule whatsoever.
Yeah. Not to
Not to
flip it,
flip
just
it.
to rent it. He has to hold it
Right.
for the.
Right.
The only restriction there and change there is that if you inherit it and you're under 55, okay, you don't have to wait 2 years to rent it, but you
That's
can
right.
continue to own it.
Right.
So here, the past practice has always been you can own under 55, you just cannot live here permanently under 55. And our past practice has been just what we're saying, that one occupant must be 55 plus. That's
And
what
that's-
we've always practiced under, and that's what we're saying now is what we're trying to get back to.
Well, and the conversation's not over. because there is a wide variety of perspectives on what we want, we meaning the whole community, what we want this community to be, what we want this community's profile to be, what we're comfortable with, because by HOPA, we have an opportunity to do some things that other communities don't have the ability to do, which is restrict the people who live here, because we are a housing for older persons community. As long as we maintain that 80-20, we're okay. 80% over 55, we're okay. We have the right to put in more restrictions on that if we want to. We just can't put less in. So there's a variety of thoughts and concerns about it. There's a lot of things that were set up in the past and were perfect. And then all of a sudden it became 2020. And they might still be perfect, or they might not be perfect. This is an opportunity for us to look at a very important, a critically important component of living here, and make some decisions based on 2020. What do we want for this community to be? And so we're going to have those conversations going forward over the next 8 or 9 months until next March. And then we as a community will make that decision on what that profile will be. But in the meantime, so that we can legitimately deal with people who want to buy or live here, the lawyer has counseled us that is our best and safest position to strictly enforce HOPA and nothing else in terms of that ownership age. So that is, I'm making that motion for the board right now, and I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
Barbara Milano has seconded. Is there any other comments or questions first from the board?
So say the motion again,
The
please.
motion is to approve an interim solution to the age restrictions in the community to enforce the HOPA Act.
Can you put in there the age restrictions so that everybody knows?
Well, that's what
they may
HOPA
not
is.
know
That's
what
what
HOPA, they may not know what HOPA is.
I just explained it
Yeah, but
3
we-
times.
But
Just add,
Yeah,
one
okay.
must be
Okay,
55 and older,
that's fine.
That's
fine,
here.
just so he
That's
gets it.
here.
Well,
But
that's why we
somebody
tabled
picking
2.
this up may not know what HOPA is. All I'm asking is
No,
to
we got it. We got it.
include the age.
We got it.
Okay.
55, one occupant must be 55 or older in order to reside here. Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
think
I
now
call
it's
for the
very
motion.
clear.
I call for the vote. All in, are you talking to me?
No, to live here.
Wait, I didn't hear you. No, as long as one person is over 55 and you're within the numbers of occupants limit, which is I think 4 for a 1 and 5 for a 2, as long as you're within those limits, then yes, you know, as long as one person is over 55 that's occupying. I'm looking at Richard because he's knowledgeable about this too. I'm looking at everybody else. That's what HOPA says. And it doesn't matter who owns it. Okay, so I'm calling for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. I'm gonna talk to the individual members of the board, just because we're pretty much out of time here, about who would like to lead that conversation and lead that process. Under normal circumstances, this is one of those ones where I would take it on. And I would, and I could, but I have a fairly strong opinion on this. And you know me, I'm not that shy about sharing my opinions. And I don't want to, I really don't want it to look like a steamrolling over what I want to have there. So I'll take it offline and talk with the members of the board here about their comfort level with where I am on it. I could change my mind. So that's true too. But for leadership of the process, we need somebody to take that on and really spearhead it for the next 8 months to make sure it gets done. Okay, thank you. Guys, I need board projects for the maintenance, irrigation, and office team to know what we have been doing the last couple of years is putting together a list of projects for each of those folks or teams, so that during the summer months, when it gets a teeny bit less of a workload, that they can start knocking off some of the things that during the season, nobody has time or energy to get at. And I have a few, but I haven't heard from all of you. So if I could hear by maybe the end of this week, because the guys and the girls need to get a listing of what those things are and what are the priorities, and get them in front of those folks to make the stuff happen. If you have something for, the lawns in the community, if you have something for the lawns or for the buildings or something like that, feel free to share that with the director for that group. We're going to ask Terry Marie to put those email addresses up on the board so that they can be dealt with. Okay. Yes, sorry, Nancy.
Barbara can't hear you and it's not getting on Zoom.
What? You can hear me. I'm not saying anything.
No, Nancy's trying to. Nancy's
We all hear
talking.
you,
Jim
Barbara.
Close, before you leave, can you stay for like 3 more minutes? Because we're going to talk about something that impacts your building.
Okay, I'll be
Okay.
very quick. I just wanted to make a recommendation for your list, for your summer project list. And that is to paint the letters back on the bumpers in front of our
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah, that was,
Because we have a
already
lot of
covered,
new
yeah.
people and they have no clue as to where they or their guests should park.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's on the list.
That's already
It's
on
a
the
matter
list,
of what, it's summertime, and I want you all to picture yourselves out there with a paintbrush in the middle of July in Florida, bending over, painting each one of those little cement blocks and stenciling a letter on it or guest. And the question has been, we've had the conversation, do you hire somebody to do that who comes in and does some kind of a big spray, or do you have Patrick out there in the middle of July in Florida, painting those little cement blocks? So it is on the list. Okay, I'm going to move along here because I want to get the meeting complete, and this is important. We have an issue that we've had in the community before, and it's called subterranean termites. And I am going to pass this picture around so that you can see it. And I'm going to explain, the board members have it, so if you can, but the community does not. So if you kick that over there, I won't. Thank you. In the past, we've had a problem with subterranean termites. They are termites that burrow in the ground and travel through underground tunnels, and they go in and do an enormous amount of destruction, particularly where there's wetness. So if you've had a pipe break behind your walls in your shower, if you've had a disposal leak in your kitchen, if you've had a ring burst around a toilet in the bathroom, those kinds of things, particularly, not only, but particularly, those are very susceptible to having a problem with subterranean termites. Back in, I want to say 3 years ago, Barbara, would you say 3 years ago? We did
Yes.
we did all of the buildings. We put in a system where you sink in the ground food boxes with a poison that is meant specifically for subterraneans into the ground, and we put them along their tunnels. And as they tunnel through, they go through the box and they eat the poison food and then they die. And it's been very successful along the buildings that are along the canal. Water, get it? Water. Well, it was a very weird thing that we had it at the time because they weren't seeing a lot of it in Florida. 4 years later, they're finding them as far out as the other side of Jog and as far down as through the downtown area of Delray Beach towards the beach. So it is exploding as an issue. In the last month, we have had an evaluation done of the buildings, and we have found that of the buildings that were treated the first time, all but 2 are still completely clear. Everything's working. There are 2 buildings, the 2 at the far end, one on each side. So it's the 205 and what's on the other side, 380? 380 buildings have shown signs of increased activity. So we've treated those again already, and we've added to that a newly formed mixture, this food mixture that they believe has resolved the problem and there are no more issues. However, there are an additional, I think the number is 9. I gave my little sheet away, so I don't have it in front of me, but I believe there's 9 units on this little package here. The green is units that have been treated and treated successfully. The red are units where the problem has now occurred, where there's evidence of the termites. And the ones with both is they've been treated 4 years ago and they're back. Okay, so there are 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, no, 8 new
Eight.
buildings. 8 new buildings that have been identified, and it's been confirmed with the termite inspectors that that indeed is a problem. I have, in addition to that, looked at this, and there are several units or several buildings where they're surrounded by places that have been identified as having the problem, but they don't show any problems yet. So on the map, I would look at, for instance, you can see here, there's one building in this row, but there's buildings in the back of them and buildings in the front of them that are red. And I worry about those buildings. All right. Then you've got you've got 3 that jump across the road. And you get those folks over there, but not on the other side of the road. So there are also 2 buildings. Richard, one of them is, I think, yours, right? Are you in 152?
No, we're 172.
Oh, you're in 172. So it's not you. It's 152 and 162 that I worry about. And maybe yours too, Richard, because of water. And those buildings all along that, we were just talked about the storm work that we did to create drains and such. And Jim Close knows about the water backup from the drainage out there, getting into the laundry room. So this is a serious issue that we need to treat right away. We also need to understand that eventually it will be all the buildings. So after a meeting with the folks, Tim wasn't in the community, but he and I had some long distance discussions when the termite guy was in. His recommendation is that, as you can see, it jumps around a lot. There's no rhyme or reason on how these things have traveled, but not traveled to the other buildings. He said, they could, we don't know how they think or how they deal. We don't know. And he said, it may be that we just haven't seen evidence yet. He said, what he's been doing and recommending to people is you treat where you have evidence. You treat where you have evidence, and you step up your oversight of those buildings in the general vicinity to do inspections regularly to make sure that you catch it as soon as you see it. They are teeny, like the size of a very small ant, and they are light brown and they have wings. And so we're coming up in May is the swarming, the end of May is the swarming season. That's when they all start flying around and making babies and all of that kind of stuff. And they're out, and we're seeing them already. So my concern is, we got a proposal. It's $500 per unit to treat it. All right, and that means digging into the ground and putting those boxes around the outside perimeter of the houses and baiting them and keeping them baited. They come back once a month to check the box and check the bait and fill it. And so
Is that 500 per building?
500 per building, yes, not unit.
Okay.
500 per building. And his suggestion is that we do that. My suggestion on top of that is, yes, we follow his, of course, which is to do the 8 that are identified. But I really think in this area of the court, for instance, that those other buildings that are, let's take 185. The next 4 buildings got it, and one of the buildings behind it's got it. I mean, it just, to me, it would make sense to do those houses on the east side, on the side of the court. So you'd add 195 and you'd add 200, 220 and 230 to that. And then I'm looking at 152, 62 and 72 because that's where we had that huge water problem. Okay, so these are places that have not been treated yet. So that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more, plus the 8 is 15. That is $7,500 to have those boxes put in. This is one of those things where, nobody's budgets for that because who would know? So my motion is that we treat the buildings that are marked in red on the map, as well as those ones 200, 220, 230, 185, 152, 162, and 172, because of the special circumstances of those. And so that's my first motion. My second motion will be to start including in the budget monies every year for increased termite problems. Hold on for a second, Gladys. I'll be happy to get to you.
So this is $500 per building.
$500 per building. We have to. We have to. Yeah. This is a true emergency.
This is not section 2. We treat it.
Right. Right. So I made the motion to do that. Okay. Any questions or comments first from the board? Okay, from the audience, Gladys, you raised your hand. Yes, yours are checked once a month. That's how they caught the first one right then, is they said 380 because of where it's located on the end of the canal and where nothing's being treated on the other side. Your building's being treated and the buildings on both sides of it are being treated. So they checked your building when they were out 2 weeks ago, and they're checking them every month. They check the bait, so you should be fine. Any other questions or comments? Tim? My understanding is that all of the buildings have been checked. Okay, those are the ones that, because they haven't been treated, so the ones that aren't marked have not been treated and they didn't show evidence. See what I mean? The ones that are in red have not been treated and they showed evidence. The ones in green have been treated. So you see that on the 380 building, it's green because it has been treated 4 years ago, but they saw evidence. So it's going to have that additional chemical added to their protocol in order to get back into alignment and get rid of them in that 380. Yes, yes. But, it's a visual and sometimes it's inside the wall. So for instance, I get concerned if you had a shower leak and you're leaking behind the wall, and that happens all the time, with some of the older bathrooms, or if you've had renovations, which is another thing. Don't let me forget renovations. Don't let me forget. If you've had done renovations and there was water when they were disconnecting or reconnecting and something was leaking in there, they could be there. Now, they beyond that what they look like, and you will see them sometimes around in, on windowsills or whatever else if they're there. They make a mud that looks like, anybody remember that old, I don't know if it was everywhere, the old fashioned molasses candy that looks like a beehive, it's got all the little, crunchy stuffs in it. Well, that's what it looks like. It's like a hardened mud, like petrified wood with all these little holes in it. And so if you're seeing that on the outside of your home or in the yard, that's a signal, because that's as they're digging through the ground, making new little walkways and escape routes and stuff, they're pushing all that dirt up to the surface. And so it's hard and crusty, kind of like a mud patty that was dried out and left like holes in the mud patty. And so if you're seeing those, that's something. The termite guy said that Patrick's gotten very good at being able to identify those, because and I don't know, Tim, if you've worked with him at all on that, but he did say, Patrick has gotten very good at identifying. So if you see some of that stuff, certainly, ask that somebody come out and take a look at it if you're not one of the buildings that's been affected. But that's my motion to start with, and I'll mention the what? The renovations afterwards. Okay, so any other questions? So I'd like to move the motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The second thing is what?
Did we have a second? Did somebody second it?
Yes, it was seconded. Rick seconded.
Okay.
So the ayes have it. The second piece of this is I truly believe we should make a motion that says that when people are doing renovations, they should have to get an inspection done by the termite guy, and the termites should be while the stuff is down. So if you're redoing your bathroom or your kitchen while your stuff is down, that we get the termite guy in there to inspect it and spray it. It's like $50 to do it, and we ought to pay for it because it's going to save us a ton of dough. And that way people won't go, I'm not calling them to come inspect it because I don't want to pay $200 to the bug guy. And, I don't want to be bothered. If we as a community accept that we're going to spend that money on termite inspections during renovations, then I feel like we can enforce that. And there's nothing but good in it for the homeowner to have that inspection done while walls and appliances and all that stuff are out, and get it sprayed and get it done. Even if there's not termites in there, let's spray it anyways. Yeah, just spray it anyways. So I'd like to make the motion that we begin to communicate with the community that that's a new rule for the outside. I have a
second.
second from Janine.
First of all, say
Richard,
it
too.
into your microphone because
Oh, you got to put your microphone back on.
you're off
Richard.
and he's off. And I'm telling you, well, you can't see it on Zoom.
I second.
Thank you.
All right.
just
So
wanna make
any
it
other
easy for-
conversation about that? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Wait, we get a vote on that. So call for a vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, good. Thank you. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Richard. Oh, wait. Sorry. This has got to be done. We have had a gentleman with his friends, Tim and others, out here working on that dock in the middle of this heat for the last couple of weeks. He's been changing boards, building boards. They've been scrubbing boards. They've been checking stuff. And he's been painting out there, and he's put in a lot of hours with the volunteers. But Larry Corbin really deserves a
Yes, he
round
does.
of applause from all of us for the work he's done. Saved us a lot of money that we're going to need for some of these other emergencies.
I think we should send him a nice letter from
I
the
agree.
board complimenting him and thanking him for all his work.
I agree. He'd probably appreciate a bottle of wine more, but we don't have any of that, so we'll just give him a thank you in writing. All right, motion to adjourn made by Janine, seconded by Richard. All in favor? Thank
Aye.
you, everybody. Sorry for the length of the meeting, but we needed it. Oops, something broke.
Hello, hello, hello.